All right, it's that time of the week, time for the NFC West Huddle, your favorite show. If it's not, don't tell me. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. This is the Super Bowl edition of the NFC West Huddle. And yes, we are going around each market in the NFC West, checking in on the local experts. We got Chris Swanson filling in since, Seattle's in the Super Bowl. They're a little busy over there in Seattle. Yeah, Chris is so great. If you go back to KEPR in the Tri-Cities, they have a statue of him in front of that station. Keyshawn Ward, my man, Pots and Pans, he's the most popular guy in the Bay Area, even right around now, right? And then, of course, we've got Gerard Boncure. He is so confident. He's such a winner. He still might pick the Rams to win the Super Bowl. Don't be surprised, right? And I'm telling you, hey, I'm the guy here in Arizona. We've been out of the playoff picture for quite some time, so I'm just on the outside looking in, man. It's their park. I just came to play, baby. All right, so let's play and let's talk about Super Bowl 60. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Chris, since you're in the actual game, let's get your thoughts. Let me guess. You're going to take Seattle, but we want to know why, and then we also want to know, about the rest of the NFC West as well.
All right, so I'm a devil's advocate type of guy. So a big part of me wants to say the Patriots are going to win this game, just simply because everyone seems to be picking Seattle or saying Seattle will win this game in a blowout. But I'm going to go with my head, and I'm going to say the Seahawks. I'm going to stick with the hometown team, not just to be a homer, but I do think this is going to be a lot closer than people think, whether that's because Seattle has some turnover issues, which they haven't had in a few months, or because you get a little bit of ref ball where the penalty flags fly a lot. Anybody from Super Bowl 40 certainly remembers that. I think Seattle digs this out. As for the rest of the NFC West, I can say this. When the 49ers and Rams were in the Super Bowl on their most recent trips, I actually was rooting for those teams to win, just in case anybody's curious. For no other reason, I wanted it to be motivation for the Seahawks organization to be kicked into gear. But I do think the Seahawks end up pulling this one out.
All right. Hey, I'm going to pick Seattle. It's a rematch of Super Bowl 49 that was played right here in Arizona. I was at that game. Seahawks had that game. Just run the ball. Give it to Marshawn Lynch. Malcolm Butler ends up being the hero. I mean, Seattle had that. I'll never forget that. I mean, that was when Kurtz made that catch on the sideline. I'm like, it's happening to Tom Brady and the Patriots again. But for some reason, they decided not to run the ball. So I'm picking Seattle, one, because I think they're going to win. Two, I'd like to see the NFC West have the Lombardi Trophy. Keyshawn, you're the guy that's hosting the big party. What are your thoughts on Super Bowl 60? Who are you taking in this game, Seattle or New England?
Well, I know the faithful are not going to hear this, but the Seattle Seahawks will win the Super Bowl on the Niners' home turf in Levi's Stadium, just because I think that the Seahawks have an advantage in all phases of the game, starting with defense. I think it's pretty much a mismatch between Seattle's front and the Patriots' front. Seattle, they've been creating pressure throughout the whole postseason, and the Patriots, they've been a disaster on the left side with Will Campbell and Jared Wilson. And I think Drake May's going to be a lot of pressure by Seattle's pass rushers from DeMarcus Lawrence in the middle with Leonard Williams. And even on the back end, I expect Devin Witherspoon and Eman Worry, who's a little bit injured, they're going to make a couple of plays on the back end. Then on offense, I think Seattle's going to shred the Patriots' zone defense a little bit in the first half, force them to go to man, which is going to open up the running game for Seattle in the second half. And I think they're going to run the ball with Ken Walker, K9. He's going to have a pretty big day. And then the special team, that's the only one where it's kind of matched up pair to pair because they have an all-pro punt returner, Marcus Jones, and then a game-changer receiver, Shaheed. But I think the kicking game is going to be where Patriots going to miss a field goal or two. The rookie, he missed 2 this past week. A week before that in the AFC Championship against the Broncos. Granted, it wasn't a blizzard, but I think once the kicker missed 1 field goal, their confidence begins to dwindle a little bit. So I'm going to ride with the Seattle Seahawks to win the Super Bowl at Levi's Stadium.
It's amazing how defense always comes through, right? Defense travels. Defense, has always been a key ingredient to victory for decades, right? Here we are, Super Bowl 60. And Vince Lombardi was the guy that said it, the guy that won Super Bowl 1. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. And I think both defenses have, great squads on both New England and Seattle. So I'm picking, like I said, Seattle because of Sam Darnold, a guy that I was criticizing earlier. But I wrote it in my diary. I'm sorry, Sam Darnold. I want him to forgive me because I think he was the difference against the Rams. He's going to be the difference in Super Bowl 60. Now, Gerard, I know your Rams aren't in it, so you probably don't even care. But how do you explain to us how the Rams can win Super Bowl 60 even though they're out of it?
Well, I will say this, Richard. I'm pulling for the Seahawks because Sam Darnold is a SoCal guy. We'll keep the theme going on. San Clemente High School, USC. But you know what? personal growth. We've seen personal growth in motion in this NFL season with Sam Darnold, and that's hard to do. Game 1 against the Rams, 4 turnovers, the Seahawks lose. Game 2 against the Rams, 2 turnovers, and they initiate the comeback down 16 with 8 minutes left, and they pull out the game. The biggest game of Sam Darnold's life, the NFC Championship game. He's fantastic, no turnovers, 25 of 36, 346, 3 touchdowns. Seahawks were 7 of 13 on third down. So to me, Sam Darnold is, playing like Tom Brady right now. And quarterbacks win Super Bowl games. So I like the Seahawks. The Pats defense has been good. They've been the best defense during the playoffs, better than the Rams. They're number 1 in yards allowed, number 1 in sacks. Now, we do have to remember they faced C.J. Stroud in a bad weather game in New England. He was terrible. And then they beat Jarrett Stidham in a snowstorm in Denver. So I'm not sure how much credit I want to give them actually overall. But to me, the personal growth of Sam Darnold is the difference. And that's why the Seahawks are going to win Super Bowl 60 at Levi's Stadium.
Yeah, it's been crazy to see his growth throughout the year. That's an excellent point. And now let's just stick with you, Gerard, and see who you got winning Super Bowl MVP. I know there's nobody from Chico State in the game, so let me guess, you're going to say Cooper Kupp because he's a former Ram? Well, who do you got winning Super Bowl MVP?
I basically just said it. It's going to be Sam Darnold. I think the defenses are going to be a wash. Sam Darnold is more experienced than Drake May. I think this game might be a little bit too much for Drake May, particularly if the Seahawks can play from in front and put real pressure on Drake May. That's what I need to see find out exactly how great of a quarterback Drake May really is right now. He's so young. But to me, Sam Darnold is ready for the moment. I mean, he proved it against the Rams. That was his moment, and he came through. So to me, the Seahawks are going to win the game. They're going to win the game because Sam Darnold's not seeing any ghosts. He's going to keep playing like Sam Darnold, which is a high level of football right now. And that's why the Hawks win, and that's why he's the MVP coming up.
All right, yeah, you compared him to Tom Brady. That was an eyebrow raiser right there. And I know you told me to stick on topic, but I'm going to go off topic for a second. I'm going to go back to Michael Jordan. Anytime he didn't win MVP, it was just like, why are we even voting? He's the best. It's almost like they got tired of picking him. It's kind of like when the Doberman wins Best Show, Penny won Best Show. I'm a Doberman guy. This is my Doberman shadow. So, anytime the Doberman doesn't win Best in Show, the dog show, and then I'm like, well, why are we even voting? So, Keyshawn, who you got winning MVP? I got Jackson Smith in Jigba. He's no longer going to be JSN. He's going to be Jackson Smith. They're going to know his name after this game. Who do you got?
Well, Richard, originally I had Nicky Manwari, their strong safety, but man, seeing that video last night, him limping into the hotel, I highly doubt he's going to be very effective in this game. He will play, but he won't be his same self. So I'm going to ride with the Seattle defensive line with defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence. I think that he's going to create a lot of pressure on Drake May throughout the game. Plus, May does have an injury in his shoulder, so I'm willing to bet Lawrence is going to be thinking about that. He's going to get a strip sack and make a pivotal plays, get a lot of QB hits, and I expect him to win MVP in Super Bowl 60.
All right, Chris, you're the guy in Seattle. Who you got winning the Super Bowl? I know you thought maybe New England has a chance, but you went with Seattle to win it. Smart move, especially if you want to get home safely. So who you got winning MVP?
You know what? Fortune always does seem to favor quarterbacks in these games, but I'm going to stick. I'm going to stick with the defensive theme as well. And with the Seahawks, it always seems to be someone you don't expect coming up big in a big game, along with the regular cast of characters. I know that JSN MVP, the 6-letter moniker, has been a thing in Seattle. Fans have been hoping for. But I'm going to go back to defense. I'm going to go to the D-line. I think Leonard Williams has been solid all year. He's been kind of the anchor of this defensive line. If the Seahawks D-line can get to Drake May, and May has been sacked 15 times in 3 playoff games so far, 5 in each game. I might wonder if maybe he gets knocked out of this game by Williams or DeMarcus Lawrence. And if that were to happen, and Josh Dobbs is the backup quarterback for the Patriots, not sure if that strikes fear in a whole lot of people. But I'm going to go with Leonard Williams, the former USC Trojan. I know he's probably still pretty well known down there in Southern California. Just got a feeling he may come up with some key plays and big numbers and big moments.
Wow, okay. Are you breaking stories here? Do we got Bounty Gate going on in Seattle? Are we putting Drake May to sleep here? Okay, hey, Josh Dobbs is a rocket scientist, by the way, so he's a pretty darn good backup. Anyway, we're talking about the NFC West in general when it comes to their coaching staffs. Coming up after the break. All right, we are talking NFC West. It's the NFC West Huddle, and we're talking about the coaching carousel in the NFC West. Every team in the NFC West, except for the Cardinals, lost a guy. Cardinals gained a guy and kind of stick it to the Rams at the same time. I like the hire of Mike LaFleur. Go back, check the tape, check the microfiche, right? Go back and check my receipts, as the cool kids like to say. I wanted Clint Kubiak, but I also wanted any one of the coordinators in the NFC West. So I think Mike LaFleur is going to be a good guy, a good coach. But there's a cause, and he kind of sticks it to the Rams at the same time because now you guys got to replace an offensive coordinator. But you got Robert Saleh going to Tennessee, Mike LaFleur coming here to Arizona, Clint Kubiak to the Raiders. So it's obvious everyone knew the NFC West was the best division in football, and they've got some great coaches in this division as well. And boy, the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan coaching tree is pretty amazing. There's a lot of branches on there that are making big impacts around the league. So let's go and check in what you guys think. Keyshawn, what are your thoughts on the coaches that are jumping ship? Who got hurt the most and who got helped out the most?
Well, I'm going to talk about the 49ers, Richard, and I'll be honest, man, I'm not too thrilled about the defensive coordinator hiring and Raheem Morris. Yes, he's a former head coach, but it almost feels like a safe pick by Kyle Shanahan just because he coached with them down in Atlanta and Washington over the years. But I just got to look at the numbers. I mean, he's been pretty suspect as a defensive coordinator or a DB coach. So in Washington as a DB coach, he was a bottom 25 passing defense in 3 seasons. And then his defensive coordinator stint with the Falcons in 2015, they had a bottom 20 defense. And then when he became the head coach for the, well, not the head coach, the DC for the Rams, they had a great defense with, Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald as future Hall of Famers, but they weren't this intimidating defense where it's like, man, we got to worry about the Rams every week. I really think it was based on their personnel more than coaching. So then when he gets to Atlanta Falcons as the head coach again, it's like, man, it's not a lot of improvement because he's now a bottom 25 defense again. So, replacing Robert Saleh are a huge void to fill, but I don't think Raheem Morris, somebody's going to move the needle and have me, scared to go against if I'm an opposing team. And I think that they should have went after Jim Schwartz in Cleveland. Now, granted, they are dealing with a lot of situation going on behind the scenes. They don't know Cleveland wants to keep him. They don't know if Schwartz wants to retire. Regardless of the fact is, I don't think Raheem Morris was the best hire, but it's a lot better than Gus Bradley. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you got an extra head coach on your staff. I think that's always going to be a positive. Anyway, Gerard, what do you think? Give us your scouting report on Mike LaFleur. We know he comes from a coaching family. He's been around some great coaches, not just, Sean McVay, but Kyle Shanahan as well. What are your thoughts on Mike LaFleur coming to Arizona?
Love Mike LaFleur. He was a great guy. Very even keel. And that's what you want in your head coach. Never too high, never too low. Poker face. That's Mike LaFleur for you. His brother obviously is the coach of the Green Bay Packers. My only concern for you guys, Richard, on this, and I'm not sure when he was the offensive coordinator of the Jets, if he called the plays or not. But he didn't call the plays here. Sean McVay called the plays. Mike LaFleur said he is calling the plays in Arizona. It will not be Nathaniel Hackett. So jury waiting to decide on that. The other thing, he didn't give a thumbs up to Kyler Murray, which I think is pretty interesting. So possibly look at Mike LaFleur to be quarterback hunting right now. Maybe Zach Wilson, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo's not under contract with the Rams anymore. I could see Jimmy G hopping over to Arizona and being a stop right now if the Cardinals don't use their number 3 pick in the draft to get a quarterback, because we all think Fernando Mendoza is going to go to the Raiders. I like Mike LaFleur. I think he's got a lot of work in front of him, but he is a young up-and-comer, just at age 38, so I think it's a great choice. We will see. Yeah. And I will say this about what Keyshawn was saying about Raheem Morris. That Rams defense, when they won the Super Bowl under Raheem, was a bend, don't break. Same thing as Chris Shula right now with the Rams right now. And as we found out in that NFC Championship game, the bend, don't break doesn't always work. Man, you have to have a stop. The Rams couldn't get off the field against the Seahawks. And that would be my biggest concern for 49er fans, is that defense under Raheem is going to be a bend, don't break. And, Sometimes it works, and sometimes it does not work when you need to get off the field right away.
Yeah, over in Seattle, it was Clint Kubiak as the offensive coordinator. He was a hot pick. He's one of my guys that I wanted the Arizona Cardinals to kick the tires on. Of course, he's going to the Raiders. Going there makes sense. So, Chris, give us your thoughts on Seattle losing your offensive coordinator in Kubiak. What do you think? Can you guys survive that? And then what do you think is going to happen with Seattle after losing Clint Kubiak?
It's going to be an interesting dynamic because you really only had this Clint Kubiak and Sam Darnold experiment for 1 year. So as great as things have turned out this season, it's really a small sample size on it. So, you could have kept Clint Kubiak, and next year you could turn out and you're to be a 7-10 team if things went wrong and the turnovers went right back up. So it's obviously not been the biggest thing in focus right now. I think by the time we get around to Tuesday or hopefully Wednesday after the parade's over, then we're going to start going, okay, now that Kubiak is officially the coach in Oakland, we got to start looking at an offensive coordinator. I don't think that they make an internal hire. I don't think they promote anybody up. I think Mike McDonald is going to have enough clout now to go find some people who are willing to be suitors to come in and fill that role. As far as some of the other coaches in the NFC West, I'm really intrigued about the LaFleur hire with the Cardinals. Obviously, the Rams had a great offense, but was it because of him or was it because of Sean McVay? Because I remember when Seattle hired Shane Waldron from the Rams, that was supposed to be a big get. Brought him as offensive coordinator. His offenses were ranked 20th, 13th, and 21st in his 3 NFL seasons. I like the Raheem Morris defensive coordinator hire in San Francisco. Yeah, I totally do. And you replaced Robert Saleh once before, you can do it again. I don't think Morris should have ever been let go from Atlanta so soon.
Yeah, and I'm writing it in my diary. Okay, Chris is guaranteeing Drake May has the concussion. He gets knocked out of the game. Seattle Woods, you're already planning the parade. I got it. Okay. Wow. Coming in, throwing some haymakers, Chris Swanson. All right, much more on the NFC West. We're talking about next year already coming up after the break. All right, this is it, the final segment of the NFC West Huddle. We are talking about next year. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl next year if you had to pick just an NFC West team? Gerard, tell us how the Rams are going to win it next year.
Because Matthew Stafford's going to come back after he wins the MVP in a couple days here, Richard. And Devontae Adams is going to come back. And they're going to use those 2 first-round picks to probably go get a cornerback because they need a stop corner, a guy that you can put out there on an island. And pretty much everyone else will be good to go to come back. So they will be one of the top 4 teams in the league as long as Matthew Stafford and Devontae Adams come back, Richard. That's why.
All right, Keyshawn, I kind of like San Francisco's chances next year if you guys could stay healthy. But what are your thoughts? If you had to pick an NFC West team, who would you take to win the Super Bowl?
Well, Richard, they all say if it was a fifth, we all be drunk. So I don't know if I could really, have faith in that belief because I've seen it too many times with the Niners over the years. They can't stay healthy. But the one positive throughout this season was, some of the young guys, they gain a lot of more experience in these valuable moments. I mean, going on a playoff run, a short playoff run, I might add, but beating Philly in Philly in the wild card round was an impressive feat. So they'll get a little more experience going to next year. But I don't know if I can trust the health. So Niner fans, you going to be in the comments. You can call me a Rams bootlicker again. But, hey, I got to go with the Rams because I just think that they have one need that need to fill. Gerard just mentioned it. They got to get cornerback help, whether it's a rookie in the first round or even somebody in the free agency. I mean, just, to note this, Gerard, Deshaun Wright is going to be on the market, and then also Reek Willem in Seattle is going to be on the market. So keep that in mind. You might want to, get one of those corners in free agency. But, yeah, I'm going to go ride with the Rams because they have one need to address, and it's at the cornerback position.
Well, we know Chris is already planning the Super Bowl, right? He's got the parade on Tuesday, Drake May in the hospital on Monday. I guess you're going back-to-back champs in Seattle. What do you got, Chris? Who's going to win the NFC West and the Super Bowl from the NFC West next year?
You guys are going to accuse me of being a 49ers bootlicker, but I kind of like them, and I'll explain that in a minute. But I think a lot of, as far as Seattle, I think, what depends on them in the offseason, aside from how the offensive coordinator hire goes, is Seattle getting Kenneth Walker back with a new contract. Then you got I'm already looking at free agency. You guys, Rashid Shaheed, Josh Jobe, Kobe Bryant, Ty Okada, not all starters, but all very big contributors who are free agents. You mentioned Tariq Woolen a second ago. I don't think he comes back to Seattle, but I also think that's addition by subtraction. That bonehead move that he had in the NFC Championship game could have very well cost the Seahawks in that one. But I'll say this, a healthy 49ers team to me is very, very dangerous. I think they are still the team to beat in the NFC West next year, followed very closely by the Rams. I'm actually going to put Seattle as probably third next year, and repeating is so difficult, and it's more about how many guys can you keep, but it really becomes the key is which guys did you lose? That tends to be the bigger question.
You really are that guy, Chris, huh? You're like, oh, you know what? I like those guys when the whole room is rooting for one team. I see who you are now. I see who you're that guy. Right, well, I guess I'm going to be considered a Seattle bootlicker. I've never, I don't know what a bootlicker is, but I guess I'm licking Seattle's boots because I think Seattle's going to repeat next year. I think they found their quarterback. The defense is amazing. They're young. San Francisco, like I said, I like them if they could stay healthy, right? And that's been a problem for years, but when they stay healthy, they are fantastic. They're in the mix. Look at Christian McCaffrey, what he did this year. Got my chimichangas to the Super Bowl. We ended up losing the Super Bowl, but hey, at least he got us there, right? And then Rams, I don't know. I think the window is closing. Even if Sam, comes back, Matthew Stafford comes back, I don't know. But, look, you guys are aging. You guys are, the window's closing there. I think Richard, this was your last opportunity. Sorry, Gerard.
Richard, the Rams are the third youngest team in the NFL right now, my man. You might want to rethink that.
What about their quarterback? He's
he's
found just this year. So, as we know, the quarterback is the key. So, and then like defense as well. So, Arizona, they're obviously a work in progress, right? We don't know what's going to happen with them. But I'm telling you, I think this division is tough, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Rams. You never know. You guys got the money. They can afford you. They can afford some other key players too, Gerard. So I'm sure the Rams will be just fine. But that's the great thing about this division.
Richard, you're doubting the guy that's going to be the MVP here in a couple days. Come on, man.
No, you're right. He should be the MVP. Without question, he was absolutely phenomenal. But does he have another run in him with that bad back?
Absolutely. Did the back bother him this year? I don't see why the back is even an issue now. If we get to training camp and all of a sudden we don't know if he's going to make week 1, then yes. But right now, I don't think that's an issue.
Leave it to Gerard to already have the Rams winning the Super Bowl next year before this season's even over. That's amazing. And then let me guess, Stafford's MVP once again, right? You're our MVP, Gerard. The NFC West is the MVP. We'll be back after the Super Bowl talking about how Seattle won the big game. Thanks for joining us, guys.